Hey guys, welcome back to episode 2 of the podcast with Coach Mike and Coach Alex. Today's topic is about youth development and the importance of the development, how development has changed, and how development shifts as you get older.
Yeah, so like we said in the first one, we kind of want to devote each episode to a certain topic, training topic, or it could be nutrition, anything down the line. But like Coach Mike said, for today we're going to talk about youth development, and it's important to becoming the player that you want to be in the future. So just kind of starting off with the importance of development, how important it really is.
Yeah. I think for me, growing up, the most important thing was always touching a ball. I made sure when I was younger that, I don't remember what age it was started at, but I remember till I was, out of college, I made sure every single day I at least touched the ball at least once with my foot. I think that's something that's, missing right now with some kids. I feel like there's, so many iPads and stuff now that they're missing that part of the game where it's I need to get more comfortable on the ball. And the only way you do that is by touching it more and more all the time.
I think definitely, like you said, there is a lot of distractions, with phones, video games, all this going on. TikTok nowadays, very popular. But I think it should just come from the enjoyment of doing it too. I remember for me growing up, I always want to be touching the ball, not because I felt like it was a chore. My coach was oh, you got to train at home. Yeah. It was more oh, I see a ball in my house laying around, I'm gonna go juggle or work on some sort of my game. So I feel if you really want to do it and you should be enjoying it, then it shouldn't feel like it was a chore. Oh, I got to train now.
I remember when I was younger, we used to watch videos on YouTube, Ronaldinho and FIFA Street just come out, and we always wanted to go out and practice that stuff. And that made it fun when you start to figure out a move or you start to do something correctly. It was almost an obsession where it's every time you got a little bit better, you got a little more obsessed because you know how much more you could do. And I think that is really the important thing for the kids now, is that obsession of I want to practice. You got to honestly fall in love with the grind of wanting to get better.
I remember my coach told me when I was younger, we were all 8, 9 years old. He was you want to make the ball your friend. Mm-hmm. You don't want to obviously have the ball as your enemy, but it should be your friend. It should follow you where you go and have it with you. I remember I always had a car in my mom's trunk or my dad's trunk. Yep. And whenever I wanted to play, I would just grab it and kick the ball around. But I think it's important, you were saying, as you touch the ball more, you're gonna learn more about dribbling, using all parts of your feet and stuff. It's not just gonna happen. You have to, test, play little pickup games here and there with your friends. So I think it's super important just to be able to do that.
Yeah, I think like you said, having the ball with you all the time. When we were younger, we always brought the ball everywhere. We would practice at the high school and we would walk there, and it's 3/4 of a mile, but we would dribble the ball there. We wouldn't carry it, and even after we finished training, we'd dribble the ball home. It was just something you had to keep the ball on the sidewalk. You couldn't go into the road. There was just something about that that just made it a little more there was more pressure when I was dribbling the ball on the sidewalk than as opposed to in the field you go anywhere. So the little things like that, where it's just every second I could get more touches on the ball, is what I wanted to do.
I'm gonna kind of put you on the spot here, but do you think a lot of it too is with coaching? Do you think coaches aren't emphasizing that enough, especially with kids that are 6, 7, 8 years old just starting out?
Yeah, I honestly, for me, I think your best coaches should be for the youngest players. That is the most important and crucial age. And when they're getting to us at the 12, 13, we're having to teach them things that we were hoping they learned at 6, 7 years old. Obviously, they're so much farther behind. So I think the coaching plays a big part into it now of understanding foot skills, the development, being comfortable on the ball. If you don't teach them how to be comfortable when they're younger, how when they get older, they're going to have that comfortability? It's not. It's there's so many years that have just come out now that they're not going to have that.
Yeah. And I feel obviously there's different aspects of the game too, technical side, which you want to master when you're younger. And then
tactics
comes into play as well. But when you're younger, you're only playing 7v7, 9v9 maybe. Tactics are important, but it's not the whole game. Yeah. You want to be able to have that technique to pass, dribble, shoot. So I feel sometimes coaches, especially at a younger level, will emphasize tactics too much, where kids are oh, what does that even mean?
Or even passing too much. You think Messi would have got where he got if the coach was you need to pass the ball more? I think for the little kids, I don't even, when they're from 5 to 7, I don't even think it matters to learn how to pass the ball correctly yet. The most important thing is you know how to dribble and do skills, and that's the fun part for them. Then obviously they need to know how to pass the ball correctly inside their foot, but the technique of taking touches in direction, stuff that starts to come in. But I think the most important thing for those kids is learning how to be comfortable with the ball and wanting to dribble and having fun taking people on.
Or the biggest thing is shooting, right?
Yeah,
how many people come here and they're oh, I want to shoot, but it's like you always say, you have to create the space to shoot. How are you going to just the ball's not going to be sitting there in a game. You just shoot it. You got to dribble. You have to like create your own opportunity.
Exactly. Like you just said, like a lot of parents want to bring the kids here to shoot, but for me, like you just said, how can you get in that opportunity if you can't dribble or get in those situations? Like, yeah, we could teach you to shoot, but you're not going to shoot from your own half or from half field. So, like, before you even learn how to do that stuff is you need to be learning how to dribble and get in those situations so you can actually take shots on the ball.
I feel like kind of what we were touching on before with like the coaching and stuff. I think a lot of it too is how like it's not new anymore, but like the still newness of soccer in the U.S. Because like you go to other countries like Europe, obviously, and like they know the game very well. So like if you go to like a game, people are noticing like the movement off the ball and like the passing and stuff. Where I feel like here, you know, you go to like an MLS game or something, and like they like see like a shot go like 5 yards over the goal, and they're like, oh wow, like that was cool. But it's like you gotta like obviously know the different aspects of the game too, with like the passing, the dribbling, the creating space. So I think it's, you know, soccer's obviously still coming up, but I think there needs to be more coaches that emphasize like you need to master the ball when you're younger, so that like when you get older you can do all those things that you want to do.
I think even like the coaching aspect, like it's becoming so much bigger, and like because of social media and all that stuff, and now everyone's kind of figuring out how to train. Like when we were younger, like you didn't know how to train. No one told you to. You just listened to whoever was telling you what, and you were like, that's what we have to do. But now like there's so many outlets of like, okay, this works, and then you start to figure it out, and you're taking things from someone that showed you something in Poland and like on a video on Instagram, and then someone in Brazil showed you something. You're like, all right, and then now you're able to like create a melting pot of like different cultures, but also like different styles of play.
Yeah, and I think it obviously shows too, because the amount of parents that come here and are like, oh wow, like I've never seen this type of training before. Yeah. And it's like it's not too complicated, but like it's stuff that other coaches or other teams like aren't doing.
Well, yeah, I think that's what separates us from everyone else. Like even people that do individual sessions, like they don't do what we do, because I would feel like most individual session like is like more of like a glorified like practice where maybe you're getting a little more individual work, but here like it's literally just technique, foot skills, touches, like things that your team cannot work on with you because there are so many kids, and frankly, because probably your coach doesn't know how to work on them correctly. That's what we focus on. And I think that's what we've gotten really good at, and like we're able to help the kids with. And I think you can see every single kid that comes here, when we go to like the select tournaments and stuff, every single kid knows how to do all the basics correctly, and like they're good players because of it.
Yeah. And I think what we were talking about before, like once you get like a group of kids that are able to do that, then tactics are not that hard.
Yeah.
Because like obviously they have all the skill set to be able to like know where to position themselves on the field. So I think definitely in development, like that needs to come first, and then obviously like knowing the game. And as you play, like you get to know the game better too.
Yeah.
That's why I think like pickup games with your friends are so important, or like
street soccer.
Even nowadays, like Thursday nights, like you still play every Thursday. It's just like you get to know like different patterns of passing, give and goes, overlapping runs, like all those things. And I think a big thing for me too growing up was just like watching the game on TV too. Like the Premier League, the Italian League, all those leagues is like, if you're primarily a midfielder, like you focus on that midfielder, like his runs and like his movement off the ball. And I think that was huge for me, because then I went to a game and I was like, oh, I'm going to try to do the same thing.
Yeah, I think I figured out watching games later on, like way later on in life. But for me, the big thing was always playing. Like I loved playing street soccer, like 1v1. Like it was me and my brother. We used to like spray paint the curbs on our street, and we would those were the goals, and we'd play 1v1 for hours. And I think that's like what I really started to love and started to get way more comfortable with the ball. So I think that's like bringing those two together, where it's like the analyzing of the game, but also like the enjoyment of getting better and wanting to do this stuff.
Yeah, so I think also too with obviously when development and we're talking about like teams and, you know, obviously playing time gets involved as well, it can kind of get like intertwined, like development, playing time, like am I on the best team, am I the best player? So I think because obviously we do have a lot of parents come to us and they're like, oh, you know, my kid isn't on the best team, should I be worried? He's not getting as much playing time as we would hope. But I think going back to what we were just saying, it's like as long as he's like developing and getting better, when you're like 7, 8, 9 years old, like what your team you're on like isn't that important. Like obviously you want to strive to be on the best team that you can, but even if you're not on the best team, like if you're training, you're still in that stage where you have so many years ahead of you that it's just like important to be training.
And I also think just playing games. Game minutes are so important. I would like much rather be on a not great team but get game minutes than be on the best team and sit on the bench and watch everyone else play, because they're gonna progress faster than I am. I literally am like a living like product of this. I played ASO soccer until I was in literally 8th grade. And in 8th grade, then I started playing club when I was able to get to the MLS. That's not like by chance. It's because, one, I was getting so many games. I was playing 2-3 games a weekend, and I was training all the time on my own. And then eventually, when I felt like I developed far enough, my parents took me to a more professional, or not professional, but a more like organized team, and then we started to grow from there. The team did well, and I went to another team, and that's how it starts to go. But you don't need to be on the best team from the youngest age. Like, you just need to be playing the most amount of games you could possibly play.
Yeah, and I feel like nowadays especially there's this like stigma going around that like you have to be on the best team, or like you're not a good player.
Well, that's where all the pressure comes too, right? Like, that's when pressure starts coming, where if I don't make this team, then what? But like, there's plenty of teams, there's plenty of games. I tell the parents too, I feel like it comes to some other stuff too, where the kids get a little nervous about in games and stuff, and they don't feel like they're performing. And one, I think that comes back to not training enough, but two, also you're not putting yourself in that situation enough. Like, the more times you play, whether it's 2v2 on the street or 11v11 on the field or whatever you're doing, you're going to put yourself in situations that are going to be where you're going to feel way more comfortable to be on that field doing it all the time. So the more games you can play in a weekend, listen, I tell parents, I was like, if you can play on 7 different teams, play on 7 different teams and play as many games on a weekend as you possibly can.
And I think too, what you like want to try to avoid is when it becomes a popularity contest. And like, you know, obviously parents talk to each other. You could be like, oh, my kid's on this team. And like, sometimes it gets like frustrating, because you're like, oh, why is that kid on that team and my kid not? So I think like the importance is just remembering that, especially at like a young age, like we're talking about right now, like just like playing, even if it's like a travel team, like you were saying, up until 8th grade, like, but the most important thing is, as well as those practices that you may be going to, like training on your own. If you don't train on your own, then yeah, if you're not on a not so great team, you might not be a not so great player. But as long as you're training on your own, you're gonna obviously be ahead of those kids.
Yeah, I think also a lot of parents think there's like one way, like one path to success. Like, success is this, right? Like, there's not like one linear path. And I think for me, a big thing that I really saw when I did get to the MLS is I didn't go to big D1 schools. Like, I was like low-level D1. I wasn't at the top like teams, like none of that stuff. But all of a sudden, my training, like I kicked up. I was training harder and longer than everybody else. And all of a sudden, I'm playing games and I'm watching guys that went to Maryland, I can't even think, like Stanford, wherever, like the big schools are sitting on the bench watching me play Wake Forest. Like, why? Because I wanted it. And I wanted it so bad that when I was in college, I was just training all the time. I wasn't going to parties. I wasn't talking to anybody. I wasn't drinking. I wasn't doing any of that stuff. I was just training. I was at the racquetball court. I was going to run. I was training every single second I could. And while all those other people were doing whatever else they wanted to do, which is fine, I had a goal in mind, and I knew what I wanted to do, and I knew it was going to take me training harder and longer than everybody else.
Yeah, you hear about like select stories of that, like obviously yourself, but like there's a reason why like there's not many people that are able to do that. Like, it reminds me of Patrick Ajiman. He's in the MLS right now. He plays for Charlotte FC. My freshman year of college, I played against him, and it was Division III. It was a good league, but like it was still Division III, and like not a lot of people go from Division III to pro. And after our freshman year, or I think he was a sophomore at the time, he transferred to Rhode Island and had like a breakout year at Rhode Island. Went to the MLS Combine, or like the draft, got drafted by Charlotte to like their second team, performed well there, made it to their first team, was playing really well, got called up to the national team, and now he's on the national team. It's like, obviously it wasn't like a normal path, but like it just takes a lot of like perseverance and like training like every day, and like if it just goes to show, like if you want it, you can obviously get there.
But also development, right? Like, he was getting minutes at that school. Imagine if he just went to URI just from the get-go, and maybe he didn't play, and all of a sudden he had a bad whatever, and he had to transfer out, and then maybe none of that stuff happened. I think like really like what we were trying to like relay to the parents is the importance of playing games. Great, this kid could be on MLS next team at U13, and this one could be on ECNL team, and you're on a whatever team, like a lower level team. But guess what? Maybe those kids aren't playing every minute. Maybe they're only playing 20 minutes a game or 30 minutes a game, but your kid is playing 90 minutes every single game. Guess who's getting better? Yeah, they might be playing better competition for those 20 minutes, but you're playing longer games and like more reps and more time with the ball at your feet on the actual field with pressure and defenders. And I think that's huge.
Yeah, and I think too, it like obviously it goes down to the player as well, because once they're like, oh, I'm not on the best team, it starts to affect them. They're like, oh, I can't get to the next level, which is like obviously not the right mentality to have. You want to obviously be like determined, like want to get to that next level no matter what team you're on or what situation you're in. So I think overall when it comes to youth development, training on your own is the most important part. And obviously, like I said, you want to strive to be on the best team that you can. But if you're not, it's not the end of the world. You still have so many years, so much time to get to that level. But I think now, if we want to switch towards like as you get older, like how does that kind of change? Because obviously when you're younger, you're learning about the game, you're getting comfortable with the ball, and then as you get older, things may change a little bit.
Yeah, then I think once you start to like hit like high school, like then you need to start to focus on, okay, I need to get to the best teams because at this point now, I need to be playing the best competition. One, to keep getting better, because like obviously at this age you can't keep playing lower level competition, but two, like the only place you're going to get seen is when you're playing the better competition, because those college coaches or whatever coach you need to see you wants to see you playing the best competition. They want to see you playing some random team on a Sunday. They want to see you how you deal with pressure from the best players in the area. So I think that's when the time when you really need to focus on, okay, my development now has got to this point where I've got to push to get to like the better teams. And obviously each year kids leave the game as well, so the teams start to dwindle and like the better players start to funnel into the better teams.
What I always like to say is, as you get older, like kind of switch from development to execution. And with that, it's like obviously when you're younger, you're developing, you're learning the game. But then as you get older, you know, you're going to more tryouts, maybe more camps where coaches are there. You want to, you know, execute those skills that you've been learning throughout your life. Because obviously, like when it comes to tryouts, like there is a lot of pressure, but it shouldn't be different than any practice. And I think that goes along with the mentality that we were talking about. Like every single practice that you're in, whether it's just a pickup game, like I know me and you both like are super competitive, whether it's like a practice, a championship game, whatever it is, like you're going in with the same mentality. So I feel like if you have that and then you step into a tryout, it shouldn't be that different. Obviously there's coaches and stuff looking at you, there's the chance you're not making the team, but as long as you focus on having that mentality and like what you're doing, it shouldn't be any different.
Well, yeah, and I also think it relates back to what I was saying before, is playing as many games as possible. If you don't feel comfortable in a tryout situation, which I never felt comfortable in tryouts. I used to be sick beforehand. The only time it got better is when I was trying to play professional soccer and I was going to a tryout every single weekend. Then it got to the point where I was so used to it that it didn't matter to me anymore. I was just going to go show what I had to do. So I think for the kids that feel nervous about tryouts and when they get there they don't perform their best, if I'm your parent, maybe we want to stay on the team we're on, but I'm sending you to every single possible tryout I can find when spring comes, just so you get the confidence to whenever it does happen and we need to go to a tryout and you need to perform, you're ready to do it.
Yeah. And I think obviously it's important too, like tryouts, like whether you make it or not make it is not the end of the world. I know like one thing I always hear you tell like kids is you weren't on the team before, so if you don't make it, nothing changes.
Yeah, you're still in the same spot.
Yeah, so it's like, and I think like you're saying is exactly right. The more tryouts you go to, obviously the more comfortable you're going to be. I remember when I was getting recruited to college, same thing, like my first kind of ID camp that I went to, I was like super nervous. Like I didn't want to touch the ball. I was like basically hiding. Like, but then as you go to more and more, you get comfortable. You obviously like see the kids, the competition level that you're going to. So I think just putting yourself in those situations will help.
Yeah. And I also think you got to think about it this way too, is every no is one closer to a yes. And you're going to get millions and millions of no's. And if one no is going to stop you, this probably isn't for you. Like, this is definitely not a sport for you. If one no is going to kill your motivation and stop you from doing this, this is not where you need to be, because I got millions of no's before I ever got one yes, and you have to keep the same motivation. And it's honestly, I don't know how I did it. Like, it was just like a miracle, honestly, sometimes I think. But you just keep going, and you create your own luck through that like motivation and that grind, and you got to enjoy it.
Yeah, and I think you have to be ruthless as well. Like I feel like all professional athletes, not just soccer players, they have that like instinct and that mentality where it's like, I'm gonna keep going, like, and like not stop from anything. And I feel like it reminds me of I feel like a big player who replicated that was Kobe Bryant. Like he was just like so intense, like sometimes too intense for guys at practice, but it's what you need. And I remember like watching a video of him where he's like at practice and some guy's like asking for the ball and he was like, no, why would I pass you the ball? Like I see you showing up late to practice every day.
Yeah.
And like I'm out here grinding, like wanting to make the team better, and you're just like taking it half-assed. Like why would I pass you the ball? And I feel like that's what you need. And sometimes we see that's missing nowadays where like kids, even some kids who train with us, they're like, you know, their friends are here, they're kind of like joking around, but like you're only here for an hour. So like you need to take advantage of that hour.
Well, I think for me, how you train is how you play. And listen, I might be a very nice guy off the field, but I'm someone completely different when I step on it. And from the moment I show up to practice, so even like we've talked about this, we've started setting up a warm-up for the kids. And I tell the parents, have them come 10, 15 minutes early, and there's a cool down afterwards, 10, 15 minutes after. So now instead of just coming for an hour, you get an hour and a half. But I'll see kids come to the warm-up, and they're walking through it, or they're jogging through it. And that tells me everything I need to know. Because the moment I step out to practice, whether I'm stretching, what I'm doing, I'm focused because I know it's going to translate to the game. So when I'm doing, let's say there's an agility ladder, I'm hitting that as hard as I possibly can because I'm not going to get this time back. And the moment I step onto the field from that warm-up in here, I should be sweating. I should be warm. I should be ready to go so that when Coach Alex, me, Coach Steve, Coach Daniele tell you something, you're ready to go 100%. You shouldn't have to warm up anymore. Like you should be ready to go.
I feel like that was something that for me, it was kind of came as like a shock. Because like when obviously you get older, like you play on more competitive teams, more competitive leagues, and like the players started to become like, not mean, but like more demanding on the field. And I was younger at the time, I wasn't really playing in that competitive a league. And then when I made that jump, I was like, why are these guys like yelling at me on the field? Like I thought we were friends, but it's like, you need to have that. Like you said, like off the field, obviously you're joking around, they're your teammates, like you're having fun. But then when it's on the field, it's like a whole different ballgame. Like you got to demand your best from each other, and like you need to have that.
Yeah, and you also don't have to be the same person you are off it. I'm a completely different person when I play. Like I'm not the same person. And what I tell the kids all the time too is, listen, I don't like to lose in rock, paper, scissors, shoot, let alone anything involved in soccer. So when I'm coming here even to train, Coach Alex might say, okay, like you guys got to get 10, but I'm not getting, in whatever drill it is, but I'm not getting 10. I'm going to make sure every kid that's there knows I just beat them by like 10, by 12, by 13, whatever it is, because I want to keep pushing myself all the time. And I'm just competitive. Like I want to beat everybody at everything I possibly can.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's what you need because, you know, when you get to that level, there's going to be guys that are pushing themselves like that. And they're going to be, because I think the biggest thing is like, once you develop and you get older, like everyone has a skill set. Like everyone can pass, everyone can shoot, everyone can dribble. So now what's going to separate you from the hundreds of thousands of players that are trying to make it pro or make it to the next level? Exactly. And I think that's what a lot of people like don't understand. It's like the separation when you get older, it's like it becomes slimmer and slimmer.
Yeah. Well, I think also like then it just shows like, we bring it back to like the youth development, like there's different stages, right? So like from, I don't know, 4 or 3 to like 7, I would say it should be all ball development, foot skills and stuff. Then you start working on like other things like turning, passing, touches, all that stuff right after. Then it starts to get into tactics, but then you're also into mentality after that. And I think there's like different stages where all the kids need to start to work on specific things in those stages to start to get their peak performance.
I think too is like interesting how obviously a lot of people have different personalities. Like me, myself, I was like more of like a shy kid and like not so talkative off the field. And like I had to learn to kind of get out of that shell when I was on the field. And like once I got to college, it was like completely different because at that point, obviously I played, I was more experienced. And like once you're on the field, you're like you said, a totally different person. And I remember just obviously like demanding stuff out of your teammates, demanding stuff out of you. And it just has to be that type of environment.
Yeah, to get better. Yeah, to get better. You need people like pushing you to your limits so that you can be the best player you can. And I say this to the kids all the time too is I'm not yelling at you or telling you something because I don't think you can do it. I'm telling you because I know you can do it and you're not providing that right now. And I know that there's another level for you. When you should be worried is when I don't say anything to you because I don't think you're good enough. But when I'm saying something to you, I know you can do more. And I think some people take that the wrong way too, where I'm trying to push you to get better. I'm not here to put you down or any of that stuff. I'm here so that you can be the best player you can possibly.
I still think sometimes too is like people take it personally.
Yeah.
Where it's like we're not yelling at you. Like I think that's the big too with like me being a mental coach and like kind of meeting with different kids. One of the biggest things is like when they hear feedback, they take it like personally.
Yeah.
So like if you tell a kid like, oh, you're not playing, you're not confident, like they'll like take that outside of the field too, or like you're not confident in school, you're not confident in like friendships, and like obviously like we're teaching you soccer, so like any feedback we give you is based on soccer.
Yeah. I also think another thing, so I think it's good that you brought that up. I feel like when I was younger, people tell me that, like they'd be like, oh, you're not confident. Like there was nothing behind it. Like I didn't understand what that meant. I was just like, okay, I'm not confident. I remember a big one people used to tell me is like, you don't have that fire. And I'm like, I don't know what that is. What's that mean? But I think the good thing that we start to do is like, we'll tell you something, but we're also telling you how to correct it and what you can do to fix it. And I feel like that in the past for me wasn't provided. Like I didn't get that. I had to figure it out on my own, and that's not always the easiest thing. But I think when we tell someone, okay, your foot skills are kind of off, you need to do this, or you're not getting your head up enough, that's why you're losing the ball, you need to do this, or like you don't have confidence, and the way you get confidence is more repetition. So you need to be going home practicing this, and you don't practice things till you get them right, you practice them until you can't get them wrong, and that's where your confidence comes from. Like I feel like we give them solutions to it, so I feel like that's like the difference for us.
Yeah, and then as you get older too, confidence it's a lot easier to lose because you're going to be playing with different teams, and you're not going to be the best person on the team on like every team that you go to. Like I had that for myself too, where it's like this massive change where you're coming, maybe like you're playing all the time, you're the best kid on the team, and then you get to a better team and you're like, wait, why am I not starting? And like it's super easy to just get down on that and be like, oh, maybe I'm not a starter. But like you got to have that like same mentality where like, no, those kids are playing, like I'm going to train extra hard to like outplay them.
Yeah, I feel like I literally lived that in my career where you go through highs and lows with your confidence, and that just comes from mentality. And sometimes you feel on top of the world, and then you start to play like not like you usually would, like even better. But sometimes you feel below everything else, and you can't do anything right. And I feel like that's the tough part too. That you have to start to like teach yourself how to like level yourself out and keep that confidence, even if you don't have it. Like I say, fake it till you make it. Like fake it the confidence till you get it.
Even you sometimes even see it at like the professional level. Like obviously now with Messi in the MLS, like being one of the best players in the world or best player of all time, like you see certain teams play against him and they're like kind of like shying away. Yeah. But it's like even if he is like the best player in the world, like you should be like wanting to play up to your potential. And like, you know, maybe even putting like a little hard tackle on it. So I think another important thing with the tryouts too is like, what are you focusing on when you get to that tryout? And I see a lot of kids, even myself too, when I was younger, is you're so focused on like the coaches that are recruiting you. And I did it myself too, where I was at a tryout and I would make like a bad play and I would like slowly look my head to see if like the coach saw that and hoping that he didn't see it. And then if I made a good play, like I would like turn around quickly to see if he saw that. But it's like, then it becomes you're not playing for yourself, you're just playing for that coach, for like the approval of that coach. Obviously at the end of the day, he's picking you, but it doesn't do you any well if you're just like only focusing on him.
Yeah, I remember I used to get very nervous. I remember I went to like a Villanova ID camp when I was like a junior or something like that, and I remember I didn't play well at all because I was just so nervous about what people were thinking about me. Instead of just going on the field and showing what I've been training for years and what I know I can and what I can do, I wasn't showing that. I was so like in a shell. I wouldn't want to talk to anybody. I was scared to show what I was going to do. I didn't want the ball. I didn't want to dribble with it. I didn't want to make passes. And I think that's like a big thing that we need to like, kids need to work on. Like I said before, is like going to as many tryouts as possible so you get rid of that. You don't have that nervousness. You're out there and you just want to enjoy the game. Like you want to have fun, but you also want to show that you're the best player on that field.
Sometimes it happens too when you play very well and the coach still is like, oh, like we don't want you on the team. But like that just happens. Like at that point, it's out of your control. Like you can't control what the coaches are thinking. I remember for myself, I went to like a college ID camp. I played like the best I've probably like ever played. And I had a coach there who I was talking to beforehand. And afterwards I was like, in my head, I was like, oh, he's definitely going to like offer me a spot. I played really well. And he was just like, oh, you know, you're a little bit too small in size for our team, which was like a shock to me. I was like, wait, what? I just played so well. But like, it's just going to happen. And like, obviously you're going to encounter different types of coaches as you're playing and growing up.
Well, soccer's a game of opinions. You might think I'm a great player and someone else might think I suck, and both opinions are right? But they don't have to be my what I believe, my reality. And like, I just need to keep doing what I'm doing, because you got to be confident enough in your own skills and who you are as a player and a person to be able to say, okay, it doesn't matter what you think, I'm going to keep doing what I got to do. So many people told me I wasn't good enough to play professional soccer. So many people told me I wasn't good enough to play in college. and didn't really matter to me. Like, yeah, obviously it hurts and sucks to hear, but didn't matter to me. I just kept going and training and I used it as motivation to prove them wrong.
Yeah. I think honestly on the opposite of that too, it made me think like when kids receive too much praise when they're younger.
Oh yeah, it's the worst.
And so you have some kids who are like obviously very good for their age, and you know they're performing well, they're scoring, but then when it comes time to train, they're like, oh, I'm the best player on the team. Like, why do I have to keep training? But like you're just starting out. Like you have so many years ahead of you. Like you're not always going to be playing at that level. So I think the overconfidence too can sometimes be an issue.
Well, I think I played with some kids that were like very, very good, and like you said, were praised for so long, and all of a sudden a little bit of some stuff doesn't go their way, and all of a sudden they don't know how to handle it, and because they've been told how great they are for so long, and all of a sudden they're not playing anymore. They didn't go as far as everyone thought they were going to go, because when you have an easy path, your life's not always going to be easy, and when these things are so easy for you, when the moment a roadblock comes, they don't know how to get around it. And I think that's what's good when you're younger, is to have a more difficult path, right? Like you don't want everything be easy. You want to earn things. Like think it feels better when I earn something, not when I'm just handed something.
I think that's good too. Like obviously about sports in general, but obviously soccer specifically, it doesn't just teach you about the sport; it teaches you about life. Like obviously, not everyone's going to strive to become a professional or play in college, which is fine. You're like obviously you have your passions of what you want to do, but just like doing everything as if it's like the most important thing in the world, because that obviously creates discipline. Obviously, when you're in school, you don't want to not try. Eventually, as you get older and you get a job, you don't want to not try. Like even if it's a job that you don't want, you still want to show that like you have the discipline and
consistency to show up, the hard work. Like there's so many like skills that you learn from soccer. Like we've said in the past, like not every kid that comes here is going to play professional soccer or play in college, but what we do beyond that is teach like life skills about hard work, consistency, discipline, overcoming like difficult things, obstacles, like things that are just going to happen in life that like kids need to start to learn. I think that's what's so important about sports, just in general, not just soccer, but sports in general teach you these like life skills.
Yeah, like obviously what the whole podcast is about today, like development, obviously development in soccer, but like development as a person as well. It reminds me of the quote by Ronaldinho, where he was like, I learned about life with a ball at my feet, which is like, obviously he made it to a professional level, but he's also in that quote, he's talking about, I went through the stages of life playing soccer, like meeting new people, creating new relationships, like maintaining that same mentality throughout like the ups and downs.
All right, I think that's like a good spot to like maybe end that. And I think this is a really important topic, not only just for kids and the players, but also the parents. I think it's really important for both.
Yeah, and I think too, obviously we want to continue this podcast. We're going to try to do one every month. Obviously we're devoting each episode to a different topic. So if you guys have any suggestions, please leave in the comments any topics that you guys want to hear. I think that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed.
See ya.